What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Adrian from Mateo Drones. Another weekend is among us. Hope everybody has been doing all right. We got a great show this evening alongside my co-host, Recoveryone Drone, aka Draymond Crawford. We do have a guest out of California, if I'm not mistaken. She goes by Cynthia Marron. I think I pronounced it correctly. She nodded her head yes in the green one, so I guess I did a good job. We have her here in the house tonight. She's gonna talk to us. If you guys haven't checked her out on Facebook, she goes by Cynthia Marron. She does not have a YouTube channel yet, but she's gonna go ahead and get one. That's what she said, and I hope she does because if you actually look at her stuff on YouTube, on Facebook, I'm sorry, she actually does a pretty good job. And by the way, she's a Part 107 drone commercial drone pilot. Let me say correctly. Um, I'm actually going to let her go ahead and say the rest. It's all about her tonight. We actually got 1, 2, 3 Part 107 people we're going to have in the house. It's going to be Dre, Cynthia, and Tom, aka Lens Capture. They all do this for a living. They know what they're talking about. So let's go ahead. I'm bringing my co-host first of all. How you doing, partner?
Well, howdy, everyone. I'm doing great. Doing great. My pockets are empty, but my spirits are high.
Your pockets are empty, but your spirits are high. Well, I tell you what, with that purchase you just made with the M30T, yes, your pockets probably are dry right about now a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, I know that there's a lot of people here in the chat. Just give me a minute. I will get to you in a little bit. Again, Dre, we finally got in touch with Cynthia Marron. She's in Greenwood, about to bring her in. Let's go ahead and get the show started. Let's interview her. It's all about her tonight. Let's just get to know her a little bit. Hopefully, she'll be back in the future once again. Without further ado, let me go ahead and bring her in. She'll go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi.
How you doing, Cynthia?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, pleasure meeting you as well. As you said, my name is Cynthia Marron. I am Part 107 commercial drone pilot. Along with my husband, we have a company, Drone Image 360, and pretty much do quite a few different things with our drones.
Now, if I look into the background, is that the DJI M300?
It is, yes.
It is? Oh, you got the bad boy back there too. That is that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment too. That's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. No.
So how long you been doing this?
So I actually just started doing this. I got my 107 in December of last year.
Okay.
Before that, I was learning, but didn't have my 107 yet. I ended up doing what everybody did during COVID, is learned a new skill, took classes and things like that, and that's really what got me into it. I took a class at a junior college near my house. They offered 2 classes. One was teaching drone photography and photogrammetry. And the other one was to teach you the information needed to pass the Part 107.
Okay.
And so I took those 2. They were both in the same semester. And then in December is when I got my license.
Nice.
But my husband has been flying for years, so I was doing things with him before that.
Okay, I think you got a question, Dre. Dre, can you hear us?
Yeah, you guys are kind of broken up. I caught what she said. Her husband's been flying for years already. Did you guys? Was he already had the company going and you joined in, or did you guys just finally came together once you got into it and formed his company?
He already had the company when I got into it, but what I do is, so he has the company, but he also works with he flies for electric company. He does the
Oh, okay.
inspections. Right. So when there are jobs or things like that during the day that he couldn't get to, then I would go out and do them on my own. And we just began to develop the company even more because now there's two of us, and always two's better than one. So
Right. Right. So that's smart. So as him being an employee of the electric company, you can step in as an outside contractor if the
sure.
company's in your name and still get the jobs. So
Right. So we
that's
did
why I need a partner.
right. Right. Yeah. We enjoy doing it together because with drones you travel a lot, or depending on what you do.
Right.
But we travel a lot with
Mhm.
So,
our
so,
jobs
Cyn-
that we do.
so Cynthia, when you say you travel a lot, do you guys travel within your state, or do you guys also go out of state?
Both. We
Both.
do.
Okay.
Hmm.
So there's
Yes.
something that maybe you have to stay overnight in another state. You know what I mean, and then do the job and then come back home after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's some like right now I have one job that's about, if I was to drive it, it would be about 6 hours, 7 hour drive. So I
Okay.
just fly there. It's every 2 weeks. So I just fly up there every 2 weeks, do the job, and then come back.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Well, let me
Mhm.
go ahead and bring in the other two people that I have in the green room. Let me go ahead and start with. How you doing, Paul?
How's it going, fellas? Hi,
Good.
Cynthia. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you as well.
This is
Hey,
Benjamin.
little Ben. How you doing? Let me go ahead and bring in Mr.
That on his
Tom.
head right there.
Lens Control Line. How you doing, Tom?
Good, Adrian, Dre.
Hey,
Hey,
what's
what's
up?
up, Paul? Benjamin, good to see you in the background there. I'm glad he's got some light on you this time. Okay.
All right.
Cynthia, the question that hasn't been asked yet,
Sure.
where are you guys?
We're in we're in San Diego, based out of San Diego.
Nice.
Right. But when my husband started, he started in Ventura. So a lot of our jobs are actually up there as well.
So you said you're flying to do a job every couple of weeks. What, every week or two? You
Every two
fly
weeks.
out.
Mhm.
That sounds like a nice write-off because that's a business expense, right?
Sure. Yes.
Do you guys go? For viewers that are here, looking to get into this to do it professionally, there's a whole business aspect to this
Correct.
that sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yes.
if you overlook that business aspect, that will come back and bite you really hard.
Hmm.
So, did you guys go? Are you sole proprietorship? Are you an LLC? What route did you take?
We're an LLC.
Good, good. And you know, people out there have to realize that flying a drone, you increase your liability 1,000 times. Okay, so the best route to take, uh, and again, it can be taken as a single individual, but an LLC protects you. It
Right.
protects your personal assets. Okay, you don't want to have a drone incident, and the next thing you know, somebody's kicking you out of your home because they took that too in a settlement. So LLC is a smart way to go. Now, your husband's been doing this for several years. Have
Sure.
you been into photography at all prior to this?
Um, a little, but not really, honestly. This is something that I didn't know I would love to do. He did what he did, and I was actually, or still am, a social worker.
Okay.
And during COVID, I began to work from home.
Right.
And so, but because with drones you're outside, his work kept on. And so with me being able to work from home, then I started to be able to travel with him um, and go to different some of his jobs and VO for him, and that's when I fell in love with it. And the one thing that really got my attention also is that he loves what he does every single day. He leaves the house, he loves his job, and I'm like, I want to be like that, you know.
You
Didn't know
want
what
passion.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the passion,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Now,
So-
now, what do you guys fly? I definitely see a 300 sitting there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I forgot it was. Yes, I fly right now. That job is in outside of San Jose, Gilroy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going from the south of the state up to the north of the
North,
state.
yeah.
Yeah. And so what aircraft do you guys currently have? Do you only have the one that you're using right now?
We have two 300s.
Two, three. Well, that's an investment right there.
We have,
Thank God Uncle Sam has that, what, Section 179, right, Dre? Section 179, small business incentive.
yeah.
yeah,
Write that
Mhm.
puppy off as much of that money as you can.
yeah,
Just don't sell it without letting the feds know, okay?
right.
but the M300 is a very capable platform. And what kind of payloads are you using on that? What are your cameras?
You have a
Is it
P1.
just me, or we have
Oh,
some
okay.
internet breakup?
Hey, Dre,
Again, Dre, it's you, brother.
hold on 1 second, Tom. Hey, Dre, actually, you have been breaking up pretty bad. Like right now, you look frozen.
Yeah.
And then like you come through a little bit, and then you look really
Okay.
pixelated and breaking. Or do you want to restart your system? Maybe it'll be better or something.
No, we'll work through it. We'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Okay. Now I do have a question for you, Cynthia.
Mhm.
So basically, before you started, and you said that your husband, he just come home, probably cheesing, laughing, just having a good old time. Cause hey, he flies drones for a living, and that's the way you guys make your bread and butter. Now, were you by any chance did you ever have to be his visual spotter for him before you actually started doing this?
Yeah. Yes, quite a bit.
Okay. Now, did you find that to be boring at first, and then the bug just kind of bit you, and you were like, "This is what I want to do"?
I don't know if I would call it boring. I just was kind of not interested because I didn't know enough about it and like very little about it. But I'm one that likes to travel, but I also it just kind of opened my eyes to a whole different
I'm gonna go wash my hands, okay?
arena that I wasn't involved in because I've been doing social work. So to be able to be outside and travel and fly and just honestly, the more I learn about drones, the more I learn about the different ones and all the technical and honestly, even troubleshooting when you're out there, things go wrong.
Yes.
All the time. And it's kind of fun when you can figure it out and complete your mission, and that's fun to me. So
And actually, I'm glad that you did that because for the most part, I've seen mostly guys doing this type of job. Like I don't really hear that much females doing it, but Dre has been telling me that he's been searching around, and so far we had Kim
Susan's
from
in
All
the
Things
chat.
Drone here, and now we have you. And it so happened that a lot of females are probably doing it. We just haven't found,
right.
got in touch with you guys to bring you on the show and actually know a little bit more about you. But
Right.
I'm glad that you actually enjoy what you're doing. So this is actually what you guys do for a living, only the drone things, or did you guys do anything else?
Well, I still work as a case manager, social worker, but that is
And your husband's still working as for that company,
yes.
right?
Mhm.
So this is a great side gig that's taken over your life at some
What's
point.
going
You
on,
realize
Manny?
that, right? Okay. Well, that's what I think you guys are hoping for at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. You control your own destiny. That's
Absolutely.
a fantastic thing.
Yes.
Fantastic thing. You know.
Now, let me go ahead and say hi to people in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and continue. Do want to go ahead and say hi to Big Water UAV Solutions. Hey, Soldier, how you doing, buddy? We also have Sky Jack Rabbit FPV. Thank you for popping in. We got Mike Rennick. How you doing, buddy? Ashley Brown, thank you, man, for being here. Appreciate it. Who else do we have? Jody Jones
My
Shot,
man, Stevie Bronx, Capture Life
Steven
Connection.
Drones. Hey, Stevie, how you doing, buddy? We got Northside Hawk in the house. Hey, David, Arizona Drone Dude, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for popping in.
Susan Lee is in
Anybody else?
the
Susan Lee?
house. Susan Lee, yep.
Who else do we have here?
E-Drone.
Hey, man, how you doing? Thank you for popping in. Eric Londinar, how you doing, buddy?
Ashley Brown.
Well, James Morgan, hey, bro, thank you for popping in. Mr. John JRC, Amy, you drone 4K all the way from Brazil. Thank you for being here. We got Brent Eat More Possum. I don't know who the heck is Midas Drone World. I don't know who that dude is. How you doing, Robert Glazier? Hey, buddy, thank you for popping in. Thank you for being here. Joe Fortaleo. Man, we got quite a people in the
But
chat.
Adrian, one thing I don't understand is
Yes.
you got 21 watching, but only 17 likes. Who's the outliers there? Come on,
Guys,
people.
do me a
Hit
favor,
that thumbs up.
for
Hit
me.
that thumbs up.
I believe that Marty haven't done it yet.
I'm probably
I
one
don't
of
think
them.
Dre done it yet. And I don't think I know Paul did it already. Cause Paul is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good at doing that.
It's a cost of admission. Come on.
Hey, Dennis Stelling, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for popping in. Really appreciate it. Yes, guys, go ahead and give the chat a thumbs up. I really appreciate that.
So
Thank you so much.
Cynthia, if I can ask you, how many flights or how many jobs do you run in a month, as far as how many times you're putting that drone up?
In the air.
Yeah.
We probably at this point, anywhere from I think 5 or 6, I say a week. Sometimes
Wow.
sometimes more, sometimes less, but yes.
Yeah. No, that's a great. And you've been in business how long now?
So the LLC started 2021. For that was sole proprietorship.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
What is that sitting behind you? What drone is that sitting behind you?
It's a
That's
300.
a 300,
baby.
Maddie.
That's a
Damn.
300.
And she has twins.
Both Dre and I recognize that bad boy right away.
Damn.
Well,
I've flown that drone.
Yeah.
That's a
Hey,
great drone.
Adrian, let's do a reverse roll right quick. I mean, we all been hitting Cynthia, but she knows nothing about the folks on the panel. So let's give her a chance to figure out something about us. So we'll start with Paul. Kind of give your little background, Paul, so Cynthia understands who you are and what you're up to.
I started flying drone a year ago, and I just bought a drone. I wanted to try it out, and I fell in love. And now I'm really hooked on making cinematic drone videos
Awesome.
and running a Facebook group for drone pilots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Maddie.
And a very successful one, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much, Tom.
There ain't nothing about me. I'm just here to learn. I fly
Okay.
for fun. Haven't got my
Maddie's a
107 yet, but I
maniac,
want it.
by the way. Just so you know, Cynthia, Maddie's a maniac. There
Yeah.
isn't a stream Maddie's not a part of, by the way.
And the way I see Matty is he's the glue between the FPV world and the GPS world.
I try to be.
Well, good. We got a mixed company, so glue is a good word.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, give us your background.
I've been flying drones for probably since 2013, and I just retired from the New York City Fire Department, where I kickstarted the robotics program as a chief in the department, and we were able to create a fire company in New York City that's all they do is fly drones. They fly about a dozen missions a day across a 24-hour period for public safety. And I've had my own. I've been a photographer for about 40 years now. I'm pretty old, So to me, flying drones provided me a camera platform.
Okay.
Originally, and then of course I saw it as being much more after that. Using drones on my job that I retired from was a passion because it was force protection, protecting the members of the agency during high risk incidents. We would have drones up to keep a bird's eye view on things, and technology. I left the department as deputy chief information officer, so I ran I was a deputy bureau chief for technology. Technology is a passion of mine. I don't care. I'm an early adopter of everything. That drone that you're playing with right there, that 300's a dream. But then again, I pine for what Dre has now. Dre just picked himself an M30T up, right, Dre?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
And he just did a review on YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah. My name is Draymond Crawford. Call me Dre. I live in the city of San Bernardino. I'm the safety officer for the city of San Bernardino currently. My involvement with drones goes back to when I was an inspector, probably goes back as far as 2015. And as an inspector, you do a lot of walking around these, especially a lot of these commercial buildings that have been popping up. And you live in Southern California also, so you've seen the landscape of all the commercial development, especially in Southern California, from Amazons and everybody else that's building them like crazy. So a drone was kind of like the next evolution for inspection work, and that's how I got involved. And like I say, like you, got my 107 in 2019. I've done most of my flying primarily up until about a year and a half ago for the city as an inspector, but now I'm branching out on my own, picking up additional work, and still the same thing as doing a lot of construction progression work and so forth. But I'm very interested in what you and your husband are doing, because I've seen some of your videos where you guys are out doing line inspections and things like that, and that's what's motivated me to go this direction with the M30T. I also have the Mavic Advance, Enterprise Advance also, is to do thermal imaging with solar. Because like I say, you live in Southern California and you know everybody is putting solar on houses, commercial buildings and everything else. And that's, like I say, is reoccurring work.
And Dre, that's some of the easiest work to do as a drone pilot.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'm looking at inspections. Yeah, I'm looking at pre-installation once it gets installed, and then come back and do maybe 5 years later a check on the system and go from there. So it's repetitive work, just like things that you guys are doing are repetitive work that needs to be checked periodically. So like I say, I still work for the city currently. I have about 5 years left, and I'm just trying to slowly build my clientele and my platform. So when I leave the city, I'll have something to do besides like Tom, go buy another house in another state and hang out.
But Tom feels like, here's the analogy Tom makes, okay? Speaking in third person, I shouldn't do that, should I? Basically, I feel like a teenager with an allowance and no adult supervision at this point, okay? So
I guess it's my turn now.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
I guess my turn now. Adrian Mateo here. That's actually my real name. Then I added the drones at the end. That's how I started my little channel. I've been flying probably for about a good, I would say, 3.5 years. My little brother actually got me hooked on the DJI Mavic Air. They're actually my very first drone, and I just went from there. Cynthia and everybody else in the panel, also in the chat. Now I got 13. Dre, they're not paperweight. I'm actually flying a little bit more.
Oh. Well, Cynthia, we always have the running joke with Adrian that he has the Smithsonian Institute of Drones. If you want to see any drone made, you can go to his house and you'll see the collection of the evolution of drones, and they don't get flown. They all sit on the shelf.
They're in pristine condition, except when it crashes them into trees.
Today has been storming the whole day. It's been storming the whole week. I don't know about you, Maddie, but here on this side, it's been storming every day, so I haven't really been able to fly. So they are collecting a little bit of dust.
Haven't gotten any rain down here.
Well, good for you, sir. Well, I'm getting a lot of
rain.
Send
some this way, Adrian, please.
You're
Send some to Vegas, baby.
I hear he's quite an expert at range test.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Well,
so that gives you. Yeah, I was gonna say, now you know a little bit about us, and that's why some of the questions
wait a minute. We got Matty. Well,
we said Matty.
Cynthia, I'm sorry about Matty. He's actually a sellout. He went from GPS to FPV now, so you have to excuse him. Go ahead, tell us a little bit about you.
My Air 2S is sitting right back there, and I already told it. See now. If you were listening, Dre had already brought my name up.
That's right. Manny, the problem was Adrian was trying to figure out what he was going to say about himself.
Exactly.
Okay. And I honestly thought Dre legally changed his name to Mr. Drone. So, I didn't know you just added it to the end, dude. I thought that was your whole name.
Oh man. So
Actually,
Cynthia,
no. No.
Cynthia, you get an understanding that some of the questions we asked is because of our involvement, our experience in this venture of drones. Like say, Tom and myself are involved. I'm trying to establish a drone program within the city of San Bernardino, just like Tom did there in New York City. So actually, this Thursday coming up, I'm going to be doing some training with the police department, and I'm going to reach out to our fire department and ask if they want to come along, if it's just to see the two drones I have that none of them have. So
Hey, Dre, an unpaid advertisement.
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
DroneSense is drone management software for public safety.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for the invitation from Dre, of course, as a consultant, to come down and opine about my experiences, you know? So I'm waiting for that invite.
Well,
Dre.
like I say, Tom, as soon as I get a captive audience with those with the purse strings, you know, I'm gonna send the invitation out, dude. Because
There you go, brother. There
I
you
guess
go.
I'm just, I say, just trying to glean the fields a little bit, and
And then we
see
got to
who I
figure
can
out
get
how we
involved.
bring Cynthia into that triad. That's all.
Well, that's why I was
Okay,
amazed
she's
at
San
her.
Diego, man.
Right.
That's a
That's what I'm
7-hour
saying.
drive from me.
Yeah, it's just a little over 2 hours from me, dude. So that's why when I saw her stuff on Facebook, I said we got to get her on. And I said, this woman is just 2 hours
Good.
away from me. She's flying the top of the line gear. And
Right.
like everybody, and like I told people, you guys see that one 300 behind her. She's got twins. They got two.
She has to. She's in business.
Yeah.
See, that's a cost of doing business, right, Cynthia? The
Definitely.
cost of doing business. Your business goes right down the toilet if that drone goes down.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So, you know, it's not a simple matter. I mean, you know, there's a lot to think about. You need a business plan, okay? You need to invest not just time, but a ton of money into this also to do it right.
Yes.
And honestly, if you're putting it up in the sky and charging money for it, you better be doing it right.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a whole community, right, Cynthia, that you leverage. I mean, when drones do bad things, that impacts your business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, we have a community responsibility.
Right.
Now, guys, I did talk to Cynthia last week, and she told me she's a little bit on the shy side, and she doesn't like to talk a lot. So please make sure that you keep her talking. That way we know everything a little bit about her. And thank you, Tom. You're doing a great job.
I won't say shy. I don't talk a lot. I don't make a lot
now,
of
what are you using any other software other than Pilot? Are you using, you know, any other type of drone management software at this point?
At this point, it's all Pilot, I would say. Yeah.
Right.
Now. I'm sure as we go and we pick up different types of jobs, and we'll begin to use others. But for now, I just use Pilot.
Did she
explain about the Pilot app for DJI? The DJI Pilot app?
Yeah, it's a professional end of it. You know, us lightweights flying our little Mini 3 Pros using Fly. Okay. You know, Pilot is a different world. Okay. You guys pined for DJI Go 4, right? Okay. Pilot is Go 4 on steroids.
Yeah.
But Pilot actually, you know, like Dre and what I was doing was you can leverage your infrared in Pilot. There's no facility to do that in the other applications. You know, being able to change your color temperatures, stuff like that. If you're flying with multiple payloads, you got to use an application like that. But now, how much? I would ask this because this might be. How nervous were you putting up that 300 the first time with your hand on controls?
Very nervous, and honestly, there's kind of a nervousness every single time. You know,
I can imagine.
Because I'm just every time I go for a job, until I kind of see the lay of the land and, you know, everything's working as I need it to. And, you know, because also one of my bigger jobs, we use the RTK function and it doesn't always connect at first, or takes
Right.
a while to connect, and you're like, okay, we got to get this job done.
Right.
This last Thursday, the 300 kept updating right in the middle of my job. Yeah.
So for people that don't know what that means is, if you look behind Cynthia, you see the drone sitting on the floor, okay? But sitting on the tripod is what's called an RTK module, okay? So RTK stands for real-time kinematics, and it is a way to establish triangulation, to establish real defined connection, okay? And it's the only way you really fly those drones. I mean, it's so important to do it right, Cynthia, which you guys are definitely doing. And being nervous every time you put up the drone is what you need to be.
Basically, what Tom just said, RTK is basically regular GPS on steroids.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about something that's so accurate it can fit in the palm of your hand. The difference in accuracy.
Right. And to show you how important that is, think about flying a drone that size in Midtown Manhattan with the reflectivity off the buildings, okay, those skyscrapers, being able to put the drone up 30, 40, 50 stories because you have firefighters operating on the roof of a building, okay? You have to be able to maneuver that drone with a great deal of precision. And the only way you're able to do that is using RTK. So if you think about, if you put up the same drone with RTK next to the same drone without RTK, you'll notice the drone without RTK is going to be moving around in the air, even though that image on the screen, right? We all marvel at this when we see our drone in wind, right? But the image looks steady. But now if your drone's moving like this and it hits the side of a building, not only do we have a fire happening, now we have collateral damage down on the ground. That's a big no-no. That'll end drone programs in a heartbeat, right? If somebody gets hurt. Real-time kinematics gives that extra safety net. So a drone that's moving like this, the same drone with real-time kinematics is going to be like this. Okay, so that's really how that process works. And if you're interested, there's plenty of documentation up online to learn about RTK, real-time kinematics.
I do have a question for Cynthia, you, Tom, you do this as well, and also for Dre. So the RTK stands for real-time kinetics, if I'm not mistaken, especially when you're doing mapping or like what you were just saying. Instead of you being way off, like how we will be way off with our drones now, the RTK is more like
centimeter precision.
Centimeters.
Centimeter precision, yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Now that would be considered, I guess, the best that we can actually get with the RTK.
Today, yes, there will be a change, okay, and that change is going to happen with 5G, but that change will only really happen in urban areas, okay, where the drone will be able to leverage the cellular network. And when you have so many cell sites, your precision grows. Just like when we take a look at how many satellites we're attaching to, right? The more, the better.
Yes.
Well, the same thing happens there. Right now, real-time RTK is definitely the way to go for any professional that banks on this. And you're doing precision work. Like if you're doing line inspections, okay, that kind of work, it really requires RTK to be leveraged.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fly a 300 without RTK. I really wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, not
Now,
a good thing.
You have the ground stations, right, with that 300, because I know both my Enterprise Advanced and with the Sturdy T, they talk about using the N-Trip system.
Right.
Do you have any experience with that?
With N-Trip or the?
Yeah, N-Trip.
Yes, actually, the job I do every Thursday, I use N-Trip.
Okay, now how I mean, you just mentioned about how sometimes you get difficulties getting connection and stuff, because I'm very interested in you starting to use my intro. I already got an account with them and everything else, but I haven't had a job where I have been required to, and I'd rather just practice on some of these jobs and just to get the habit of knowing how to log in and everything else, and see how my drones fly, since now I have 2 of them that use that type of service.
Okay.
Now, Cynthia, when you said that that sometimes your M300 will go into needing an update while you're doing a job, how do you handle that? I mean, do you stop and then just do the update, or do you just keep going?
I update. I stop and update.
So you bring it down and update it right away?
Well, it updates once it's down. It doesn't do it while it's in the air.
Okay.
But most of the time it happens to me when I bring it in because I have to do a battery change, and then it updates.
and that's one thing that Dre actually went ahead and made a video of. If you haven't seen it, please visit Recoveryone Drone channel, where he'd say that sometimes that tends to be a pain in the ass. Pardon my French, Cynthia, but if you, because I mean, you'll do an update at home, and you think everything is done, but then when you go to a job site, you got to do another one. Now you're like, what the heck is going on? Maybe your signal on your phone may not be strong enough for you to use it as a hotspot. So I mean, have that ever happened to you to where you just say, screw it, I'm not gonna update it now? You do it when you're home.
That's an insurance issue. That's liability, baby.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Yeah,
because it's very important. That's part of the. It's very important that you have those updates, because it's probably taking care of an issue that's going on with everybody's in 300 at that point.
Right.
And most of the time, honestly, when that comes through, that day I've seen some weird message or error message or something. The last one that the last time I got an update, I was changing batteries, and one battery was reading, and they were both fully charged. One battery's reading like 98, the other one's reading like 27 or something. It was weird.
Right.
And then after that, it updated. So there was there was apparently something going on where it needed to be updated.
Well,
minimize risk.
Yeah. Well, apparently what had happened when I got my M30T this week, and I updated as soon as I got it, charged everything up, and that was on the 20th. So I see a guy put a message in the M30 Facebook page and says, new update. So I questioned the guy, and I said, hey, I just got mine. Did a half an hour firmware update, yada, 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 all this kind of stuff. I said, what's in it? Because there has been some issues with updates being legitimate ones and bad ones and all that kind of stuff. So we always want to question. And the guy kind of got it picked off of me. I said, dude, I'm on this side of the international date line. So that means over in China, it's already the 21st. So how do I know the update I did on the 20th didn't already include this update you're talking about? Because I don't know where you're from. And he was from Sweden after we had this conversation. So I was trying to explain to him, I said, well, I don't want to be searching for an update I don't need. Because like I say, just got the drone, set everything up. I'm going through all these different updates and everything. And like you said, come to find out, within 24 hours of me getting that drone in my house, going through all the steps of updating and everything else, another update came out. And then the same update you had on the 21st that covered the 300 and the M30T.
Yeah.
It was an update for both drones.
Yeah.
On the 21st.
Well, when we codified the procedures for the job, that was a mandatory requirement. Actually, since they fly so often, the oncoming crews, one thing in the fire department is you check out the apparatus at the beginning of every tour. It doesn't matter that it was just checked out, okay? Because what you have on that apparatus will save your life. Right. The same thing with the drones. We codified it the same way. You do not fly unless those drones are updated. Now, of course, the recreational side of the fence is, screw that update, because they're going to put more controls over me, or they're going to limit, or fly safe database. God forbid we update that. I can't fly in 1,000 places. Well, on the commercial side of the fence, your insurance company will fail to pay a claim if you ignored firmware updates. Okay. Right. If you took unreasonable risks on scene, that insurance company has every right. And if you don't read your policy, please do. If you do something stupid at home and burn your house down, you know your insurance company come back to you and go, yeah, that was malfeasance. You were the one who caused that. So
Now,
be very, very careful. Very careful. If
Tom,
you
though,
do this for a living, you got to do it the right way.
Tom, that's not the only reason, though, people don't get their firmware updates. A lot of times I wait a while to see how it rolls out and how other people are affected before I decide.
24 hours. On the recreational side, I wouldn't wait more than 24 hours.
Yeah, I usually wait a day or two.
Yeah.
Just I want to hear what people say is going on.
No, yeah, Paul, I understand that. But unfortunately, on the commercial side of the fence, like I just said, you have those parameters hanging over your head.
Yeah.
On the recreational side, you're doing this for fun. Okay?
Yep.
But
And that's why on the
again,
commercial side, I wouldn't mind doing the updates because I would have liability insurance. So if something goes wrong, I'm up to date. So it just makes sense to follow the rules.
yeah. Brant Ariel says he's insured against his own stupidity. Yes. Make sure you have that rider in your insurance policy, by the way. That's a good one. You pay a little extra for it.
And as we're talking about updates, actually, I did a video a while back on the Enterprise Advanced update. And I guess there was an error on a previous update, and I got a comment on my video from a firefighter, and he thanked me for the information I put in there because the information how I presented him, I read off the DJI notes of what the firmware did to correct some mistakes or optimize the drone. And he told me that the previous update caused a notification error that the drone needed an update on the Mavic Enterprise Advanced, and his whole department bitched the drone because everyone was upset because this error kept coming up, and every time they would try to go find the update, there was no update available. So he really thanked me to say, okay, now we can get these birds back in service again. Okay, one thing, that's a lot of money that you got sitting on the shelf now. Two, you now put personnel back at risk along with civilians that you could have had this drone out there helping out firefighters, helping out civilians to get safe. And that's why I'm saying that, being up to date with your drone is very critical, especially from a commercial standpoint, because you never know who or what it's going to affect in the long run. And I have that running discussion with my buddy Lon here in the chat about, I don't understand why DJI cannot send out emails because they send you everything else through text message and emails about every new product that comes out.
My $23.56 worth of DJI credit is expiring. I think they've told me that 50 times in the last 2 weeks. I'm still not spending it with. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. They'll email you about stuff or text you about things. Yeah, but why can't they send this information out to you? Because I say when we get these devices, these drones, we register them. We activate them by what? We put our email address in there. We put our phone numbers in there. So they have different ways of trying to contact us for everything they need to.
But that is exactly what I was talking about earlier, Dre.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, that, it baffles me. And I was telling my buddy Lon here, and the only reason I bring his name up actually because he's in the chat and he knows I'm not trying to put him on the spot or embarrass him or anything like that. But like I say, I own a couple of Jaguars. I get emails from the dealership where I bought the car from still. I get emails and texts from the dealership I get the service done from. I get emails and texts from the TVs in my house about updates and all this kind of stuff. I said, come on now. I know this company is capable of sending out information to the consumers who have bought this product about different changes to their product.
They don't have to. Because
well, like I said, they don't have to, but
it's so big. They don't have right. Well, that's what it comes down to, right? Yeah. I mean, if you sent me an email that told me everything look, when the firmware comes out, I always read line for line what's happening there. Okay,
right?
Because I want to know. It's not going to stop me from updating, but I want to know because I also want to be situationally aware. Bill, it's time to drink again. Codify. It's
you saw that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't going to use the word, but Bill needs another drink.
Bill,
okay.
Drink it, Bill, drink it.
It fit right in there perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Look, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. Okay. Bob, I agree with you. That was the mindset a lot of people had, right? Bob said he used to not update if the drone was flying good. He wouldn't do the update. Okay. But you got to change your way of thinking because it's a safety issue.
Right.
I don't care if you're flying recreationally. Remember what that drone can do, okay? Yeah, if you're flying the 249-gram drone and it hits the ground, you're out $900. And hopefully you didn't hit anybody, okay? Because they're going to be pissed. Maybe not severely injured, but really pissed. And really pissed people can still sue you in this country, okay? But you got to be safe. And the safest thing is the manufacturer put out a firmware update for a reason, okay? The car manufacturers put out recall notices because they're forced to, okay? When your car gets recalled, you got to bring it into the dealership and correct that recall.
Correct.
Same thing here. You got to update the firmware. Yeah, I'm a little more reluctant when it comes to, the Windows OS, okay? But when it comes to a drone that's up in the air, you definitely have to maintain those updates.
That's one thing I actually do quite often. Everybody in the panel, including everybody in the chat, I do update my drone every time there's an update. I do it immediately.
I used to not do it, but I was also dealing with Hubsan type drones back then. And Hubsan drones, most of the time when you did the update, it screwed something up.
Hubsan updates only broke drones, right?
They only broke them. They fixed one of the smaller issues, but then created a bigger issue. With DJI, I've never really seen that. I've never seen that happen. I've never updated it and went, oh crap, I have a problem.
Well, after what happens though, Maddie, is we have a situation where, like, they just came out with an update for the RC, right? DJI RC, right? And people started complaining, oh, my RC's not working right. Because all you did was do the update. You didn't do any research about the update. All you had to know was, once you got done with that update, you needed to recalibrate the RC. Just like we take that drone and we spin it this way, we do the calibration dance, okay? And by the way, people, I don't do the dance around my drone, okay, because I get dizzy, okay? I spin the drone, okay?
Oh, I spin it in my hand.
I find it comical when I'm seeing people do the compass dance, I call it, okay? But you have to actually do the compass dance again with that RC.
Yep.
Because the documentation that came out with the firmware told you to do that. So if you didn't bother reading the documentation, you didn't do it, and all of a sudden you're having that little radar screen down in the corner is like, it looks like North is spinning around you.
Yeah.
It took less than 30 seconds to go in and calibrate it, and it was spot on.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't understand that the GPS is built into that RC. That it's not like a phone where you don't have to worry about doing that.
Right. Well, because the phone doesn't have it, your controller has it, right? But here you have a combined unit.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. But it's just like using the pro controllers on the professional side of the fence. You got to maintain them as well. And the other big problem people have is they update the firmware on their drone, and then they go out to fly. And if you're like me, I got 4 other batteries besides the one that was in the drone when I did the firmware update. So when you're in the field and stick the next battery in, you get a firmware update notice. Because each battery needs to be up. These are smart batteries we're dealing with. So when you update the firmware on your drone and it restarts itself, once it restarts, turn it off, take the battery out, put your other battery in, turn on the drone. You'll see the little notice come up, inconsistent firmware. Just tap it. And about 25, 30 seconds later, that battery's done. Cycle through your batteries. And it's always much easier to do all this crap while you're sitting in the comforts of your own home, okay, than when you're out in the field and now you don't have a cell connection. Now, you can still fly with inconsistent firmware on that drone. But like Cynthia said, she's got hot swappable batteries. At least her drone will stay up in the air. We don't on these smaller drones. So if that drone was at 98% and all of a sudden drops to 27% or worse, 17%, you got a big issue that could have been solved in about 30 seconds if you did your due diligence.
By the way, on the last Air 2S update, I don't know if anybody else have had this. My other 2 batteries will not show an update.
Oh, that's unusual.
Firmware, on my Air 2S,
MavicPilots.com.
and the other 2 batteries are not showing an update for the phone.
I've had that happen before. I've gotten an update for one battery and not the other.
Me too.
These 2 are not doing
Me
it,
too.
and I'm not sure
It
why.
could have been a slipstream, Paul. Could have been a slipstream update to the battery that wasn't even realized. So that can happen. But like I said, whenever I do a firmware upgrade on the aircraft, I always cycle the batteries through.
Yeah, so do I.
Always cycle them
And that's
through.
what I
Hey,
noticed.
Cynthia, you had a question there. Have you guys put together a YouTube channel yet?
I have not. I need to do that. I think we talked about it when I first came on, but I will start one. Absolutely.
Good. Join the crowd.
Yeah.
We love company,
Okay.
and you'll get a ton of subs from this group of characters here. So
Awesome.
Do you have a website?
DroneImage360.com.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it right now. I'm trying to find it. Oh, that's because I spaced the words out.
Can you share it to the chat?
Yeah, sure. If I find it. There it is. I got it.
I love having these muscles.
Copy.
If you don't mind,
How is that working out for
Cynthia,
you now, Johnny Drone Flyer?
Go ahead, Adrian.
yeah, right. Johnny brought it up. He had to recalibrate the RC in order to get the map to work properly.
Marcus Crawford actually called that out on his video that he did, and that was good because not a lot of people knew that.
Right. It's not just the map. What I tend to use a lot is the radar screen.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me too.
I love the use of the radar screen because the radar screen provides me more awareness as to the orientation of my drone.
Yep.
And where I am in relation to that drone. Okay. And that's critical because you got to maintain situational awareness. I do use the mapping because if I want to know whether I'm over this particular landmark, then I switch over to the map. But remember, it's always smart to download those maps prior to going out there because you might wind up somewhere where you have no connectivity.
Yeah.
So when you bring up that map, you'll just get one big white screen. Oh, here's something that came up recently that scared the heck out of me. I was flying with the Mini 3 and using the RC controller. My palm happened to overlap the screen a little, and it put me right into playback mode, into gallery. So I'm flying along, and all of a sudden I'm in gallery. I'm like, what the heck just happened? And then I started to realize my palm touched the screen. So now I got to hold it. You know, it's not as big as the RC Pro.
Hey,
I love the heck out of it.
Those love handles would
Oh, I
take
gotta
care of
get something else that won't fit into these pre-cut cases, right?
that. You can always
Here
cut
comes
the
the
phone.
X-Acto
You
knife.
don't have a phone case though. You have that softer case, right? So it's
No,
already
for the-
pre-molded.
Yeah, that one I can't do anything with.
Yeah.
That would negate the reason why I got it. I would have to put on and take off, and this is not a paid advertisement. Love handles, Etsy. Go check out Original Dono.
Those
Okay.
are pretty cool.
Now, Tom, when it comes to what Johnny Drone Flyer had to do with his RC, I actually have to do the same thing with my Mavic 3 to go ahead and get my RC Pro working good with my Mavic 3 as well. I have to recalibrate the remote as well.
You got to do the compass dance, bro.
I had to go ahead and do it. I had to do it for the drone and for the remote.
Yes.
Both.
Yeah. And
Now,
if
for the
you
remote,
travel
it's a little
more,
different. For the
Now-
remote,
now,
it's a little
Cynthia-
different. You have to kind of do some kind of wonky, move to get the remote.
it's the
that
same
way.
thing.
Same
Spin
thing, yeah.
and rotate. Spin and rotate. Same thing you would do for the drone. But Cynthia, whenever you go out to shoot a job, you're calibrating, right?
Every
On the compass side of the fence, because you're traveling from San Diego up to San Jose.
Yes. No, I don't have to calibrate every time.
I would suggest looking at that and maybe thinking about that in your procedures.
Okay.
Because the one problem that you can run into, and Dre, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, is when you travel a distance, you can sometimes have some issues, and those issues a lot of times can be resolved by a site-specific calibration.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons why Cynthia it's not as critical for her as it would be for the prosumer or consumer drones to do is because remember Cynthia is using RTK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that kind of negates that problem, right, Dre? Because
Yes.
with RTK is the ultimate when it
Yeah.
comes to, that compass, right? But for all of us on the that are flying consumer and prosumer drones, you should really think about if you're traveling a couple 100 miles away from where you usually fly or where you flew last, you should really look at compass calibration. And it doesn't take that long to do.
No. And that's, like I said, it's always a good tip. Some people with the newer drones in the last couple of years have gotten away from that. We knew before in the early days of the Phantom 2s, Phantom 3s, it was almost a requirement.
Yeah, you had to do
Mavic.
it every time you fired it up.
Right.
The Mavic,
So,
the original
so it was
Mavic,
kind of requirement. Now that
almost every
drones,
time. Yeah, you're right, Mavic.
yeah. And like I said, now the drones are a little more sophisticated, a little more better calibrated systems. People get away from that. But yeah, once you travel, there's no set distance. It could be 10 miles for one person. It could be
It could be
100
10
miles for the
blocks.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
for one person.
Yeah.
A lot of times it just determines how the drone gets transported. There's a lot of time. If the drone goes through a lot of metal or other microwavable signals, it can throw the internal compass off or the IMU off, and you may need to recalibrate it once you get to your destination. So it's not just the location change, but just how the drone itself gets transported. You can throw the internal sensors off of it. Well, I was going to ask Cynthia, not to get into your business, but how do you and your husband kind of go about advertising your business, or is it kind of like filters through his regular 9 to 5 most of your work?
Actually, none of what we do with the company filters through the regular 9 to 5. Very honestly, a lot of it comes from networking.
Okay.
To be honest, and then sometimes it's when we're out, we have people come up and say, "Hey, what are you doing with that? Oh, I could use that over here." And we have our cards ready.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of it does end up being just that.
Yeah, referrals are the best business because referrals almost come to you pre-qualified. They know what you're doing. They know, what you charged, so you don't have to, try to resell again, which is great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I tell people, it's been my experience as a construction inspector, my qualifications as a certified construction inspector has gotten me more jobs than me just being a drone pilot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, like I said, it's about relationships. You meet these people, they know you, or they know about you, and you run these people at different locations or different job sites, and then it's easier to make that next transition to your next job.
Right. We work closely with an architect, and a lot of times that's where our referrals come from as well. Is he'll send us out to get that information first.
Do that site inspection for them.
Yeah.
So then they'll do 3D modeling based upon what you bring them back, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a great relationship to establish there. That's fantastic. A lot of people in that want to get into drones think the only relationship they can really build is with a realtor. Okay. There's so much more out there. So much more out there.
Now, question, Dre.
Yo.
Yeah, the job that you were doing today, that was one of your regular jobs with
that's
with the
one of my. No, I didn't use the M32. I used my old Phantom 4 Pro to large housing developments in the city of Fontana, about a mile apart from each other. And one I've been on for about a year, and the other one I just picked up about 2 months ago from the same company. And they actually gave me another job out in Riverside that got put on hold until they go out and put the GPCs in place, GCPs in place, so I can continue flying that one. So like you say, sometimes what you do rolls over to the next thing, That's why I tell people, when you go out, you got to put your best foot forward. Like Cynthia said, you can't go out there and risk an update to cause an issue. Bring the drone down, correct what's going on. And that's why I showed that picture today. Those who saw it on Facebook, where you saw the back of my car, and I said, are you prepared for an uh-oh moment? And you saw 2 Phantom 4 cases there. I said, I carry 2 drones out no matter where I go. Because if something happens to one drone, I still got to finish the work.
Right.
Yeah.
So I say, so that second one gets broken out and you put it in the air.
It's just like being a photographer for years. I always had at least 2 camera bodies with me, no matter what job I was shooting. And when I made the mistake of my side gig for like 10 years was shooting weddings, that was a mistake. There wasn't a harder job on the planet. Oh my God. Okay. But shooting with a second photographer, and my wife was our assistant, basically. The amount of equipment we had to carry to a job was ridiculous. Because no bride is going to accept you only got half of the ceremony because your camera broke. Okay, you've never seen a bridezilla until you've seen one that you didn't deliver shots for. Okay?
Oh God! Yeah.
It's a part of doing business, right, Cynthia? I mean, you have to have that backup gear. You have to be prepared to use it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
And that's why
you say you fly every up to that other job. So you got to haul all that gear with you.
So the batteries for the M300, we have 2 sets. So with this particular client, I leave one set up there.
Because they're over the allowed limit, right?
Absolutely.
You can't take them into the cabin with you, and you can't check them in.
No. So
right.
I need some legal advice.
What's that?
Okay,
so someone asked me to sign this document, and then I signed it, and then they told me afterwards why I signed it. Can I get out of that document?
Without knowing more about the document, it's hard to give you any information.
All right.
So a lot of times when you do commercial,
I have to sign this over here, and then after I signed it, he came up and said I have to do what he wants for 24 hours.
Oh, you're screwed.
You're stuck, Paul. You're
screwed.
stuck. I'm sorry.
It's legally binding.
Get him,
I
Benjamin.
think it's legally binding because I think if it involves a family member, there's no 3-day window there. Okay. Okay.
Benji getting him already.
Benjamin, he's all yours, brother.
Yeah.
But to talk about that, and I'm pretty sure Cynthia's had to deal with it. Tom probably has. I know I have. Where you have to sign, you have to agree to NDAs and stuff, which covers the confidentiality of the project, your work, and what you can and can't use the work for. Most they take all the rights of your work as their property. And a lot of times you'll get
that's a work. Yeah. You mentioned 2 different things there, right? So you have the NDA. Like I've signed tons of NDAs when I first started looking at drone sense before they were fully fledged. Okay, I had to sign an NDA, right? Because there was competition out there. And then you have the work for hire, right?
Right.
The stuff you shoot is not yours,
right?
If you were contracted commercially to shoot. Then that becomes their property upon payment. That is their property, and they then maintain the rights. So that's a good point you raised because, Cynthia, if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, one of the things you should put into your contract, if it's not already there, is your ability to have a non-exclusive use of that footage, okay, to support and advertise your business. Because if you turn around and platform something up on YouTube and you had a work for hire, that company has a right to throw a copyright strike against you. That's their intellectual property. So one way around that, like what I did as a pro photographer on the outside, shooting weddings, boudoir, modeling, stuff like that, I would always have it in my contract that I also had the right to use those images in promoting my company.
Right.
So that's something to look at. Okay.
Okay, definitely.
And that's why a lot of times when I do my live streams, I'm only showing my setup process. I'll talk about what I'm doing.
I noticed that.
I don't show footage of what the drone is shooting.
Correct. You won't see any commercial work that I've done up on YouTube at this
point. You won't see the work that the drone is doing.
I keep those worlds separate. I do, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I told people you gotta be careful about that. And like I say, doing photogrammetry work, you can show a screen of a drone flying across some grid pattern, no big deal because nobody knows where it's at, what it's flying over. But the actual real footage, I don't disclose that on YouTube.
Yeah, the only arena that you usually can get by with putting stuff up is in the real estate business, and you know, not the commercial side, okay, but the residential side, because the realtors don't care. You just advertise for them by putting that up on your site, okay?
Yeah.
But the kind of work you're doing, Cynthia, of course, Dre, the kind of work you're doing, yeah, you definitely have to make sure you have a clause in your own contract that even if you don't plan to use it, that you have it in there in case you want to pull something out to show someone else.
Right.
Okay. This is what you should expect, or these are our limitations. I've done that also. You know, how much can you do with this? Well, these are my limitations. These are the boundaries. I'll show you an example of that, because I love to set expectations ahead of time, okay, and then come in and exceed them.
Yeah.
But I don't want somebody to have an unrealistic expectation that I can't meet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because most people will not provide you positive reviews as quickly as they'll provide you negative reviews.
Oh yeah, every time.
Just look at Yelp.
Yeah.
Good example.
So we bored you enough for this evening, Cynthia?
Oh no, this was very interesting. Not bored at all.
Well, I'm glad I chased you down and kind of cornered you to get you on here. So I appreciate you being here, and let you know this is a safe place to be. We're not a bunch of yahoos. Well, you know.
No.
A bunch of kids, what we are.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Cynthia, you travel around and you take photos for people. Is that what you do?
Most of my work, majority of my work right now has been photogrammetry. Helping with the architect with his surveying jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard a good idea someone was telling me about. As they're traveling, they find businesses and they look them up online and they see if they have any aerial photos, and they'll take photos of the business and then bring them to the business and say, hey, I noticed you guys don't have any photos, and you have them ready to sell to them right there.
I heard someone else say that they do that as well. It's not what I personally do, but I know people that are pretty
speculation. Yeah, it's speculation work. Basically, some of the people who do roofing inspections using infrared and all, they'll go and they'll do a couple of city blocks worth. And then they'll go to building owners and property owners and show them, hey, you got a lot of heat loss in the winter from your roof. Here, take a look. Okay. That can get a little dicey sometimes. Okay. Yeah. It depends on whether you can fly, no problem, because the airspace is governed by the FAA. Of course, your takeoff location is another situation, but you also have to be very careful with some local ordinances, right? On what you can and cannot do. So, Paul, research, right? Research is the key here. Whether that area, look up to see if there's any problems in that area. Has anybody had any drone issues in that area? But roofers do that with a great level of consistency. They'll go in and they'll use, again, infrared, and they'll go and take a look whether it's in the wintertime or the summertime. What I did with a buddy from the job a few years ago when he was retiring, I set him up to do an M210 RTK. I bought 2 of them, and he does solar panel inspections for residential. And what he's looking for is, now that's an area where you fly midday. You want direct sunlight, right? And he looks using infrared. He was looking for cold shunts, cold spots on the panels to show that there was a loss of efficiency there. Okay. And then he branched out and he started doing some major power suppliers, which we talk about a gig and a half. He would go fly a solar farm, and he would fly that solar farm using four batteries. So, these are hot swappable batteries. Take off, fly a grid pattern. Everything was laid out in waypoints. Of course, halfway through, have to come back and switch out batteries, okay, and continue, but it would pick up where it left off. And he wouldn't do anything with the data except package it and send it off to the power company. And then the power company would come back a few days later and say, hey, in 2 weeks, we want you to fly these grid locations. Because what they would do is they would go change out panels in those areas, and they wanted to know whether those new panels they installed met the efficiency level, right?
Right.
Now, he did a total of, I would say, maybe 4 hours on the inspection and then another 2-hour stint, and basically was charging a month's worth of income. Okay, well, 6 hours work.
Yeah.
And when he started with this farm wanted him back every month because it would actually take a ground crew before they did this using drones. It would take a ground crew 6 weeks to do that same inspection. Okay, going around on foot to inspect all those panels to where they would always be behind the efficiency curve. Once they had started using the drone, and since then he was hired by that company to do that full time. So there's nothing but opportunities out there, folks. You just got to look for them. And like Cynthia, one thing you pointed out before was, isn't it great to do something you have a passion for?
Yes.
It's not like it's working, right?
Right.
It's not like a job.
Look forward to each and every job or assignment that we get. Yes.
Yeah.
Always an adventure.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
Now, Cynthia, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to that M300, it takes 2 batteries or only one?
2.
2 batteries, okay. So kind of like the MT30, right, Dre? 2 batteries?
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I emphasized that in my review about the pair of batteries. It's not all what everybody thinks it is.
Well, they're hot swappable. So, Adrian, one thing you got to realize is, okay, you can what happens with us, right, when we're flying our little Mavics and stuff is we set it down, we have to power it off, we got to take the battery out. Now, whatever we had set up, say we have waypoints and everything else set up to go, there's no consistency there. You're breaking that connection. You're restarting the drone all over again. Here, in this case, you pull out one battery, put another battery in, pull out the other battery, put the second battery replacement in. You've never shut that drone down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's key on the commercial side of the fence. That's a must-have feature on the commercial side of the fence, and on the public safety side of it, it's a definite must-have.
Yeah, I mean that's the advantage of running a dual battery system. My point was, Tom, is that people get a little excited because, like the M30T talks about 41 minutes flight time. In real time, you might actually get somewhere around 35, 34 minutes.
Depending on your payloads, yeah.
Well, just all encompass on that one. So I tell them people that, between the time you actually take off and the time you may need to return to home, that's why I tell them how you got to calculate the job. And I'm sure Cynthia's probably done this and probably didn't even think about how I'm about to explain it, that you have to calculate the job you're doing based upon the definite time that you have. Which, like I said, my Phantom 4 Pros, 20 minutes. That and the Maverick 2 Pro. Now with this 30 T model I got now, 30 minutes is what I'll operate off of on them batteries. Because I know about time I take off, get to the first waypoint, fly what I got to fly, and then return to home. The actual time I'm using that drone to actually do productive work is going to probably be 30 minutes tops. Okay? So that's what I was talking about, that, for the size of jobs that I've been doing. Like today, I did a job 190 acres. Took 4 batteries, 20 minutes a shot. Okay? So guess what? That's an hour and 20 minutes. So how many sets of batteries of that M30T that I'm going to need? I'm going to need at least 3 sets.
How much are those batteries?
$329 a piece.
I was going to ask.
And you need to fly with 2 of them.
2 of them. So that's
2 of them. And if you only have 2 of them, you are not flying this commercially. Okay.
That's the point I was stressing, that about people see, it's got 2 batteries, I can fly. I said, no. You're not really getting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People go, my drone flies 47. Look, I bought this drone for $900. It flies 40 minutes.
No, I
And
don't.
your drone you pay 12 grand for only flies 30? What is? Yeah,
So
well,
with
it's a
the
different.
batteries,
Right?
are they running different things? Is one battery for the drone and one for
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
Power.
the
Yeah, it's
extra
just power.
it's just power. I'd say yes, the batteries are stronger, the power, the stronger motors, and it's also
There's
powering
yeah,
a lot more of the electronics internally.
a lot
But
more.
far as actual flight time, this is how that's why I tell people you gotta learn how to manage your flights. And that's why I
The
tell them that
RTJ eats up battery time.
yeah. And that's why I tell
Yeah.
people that, when I fly out, I try to make sure I monitor the percentage of the battery usage. So when I get back and I'm approaching that 30% range, guess what? We're time to come home because next time I turn around and make that next run that's going away from me, now I'm wasting the next battery's time because now
You
it's
Trey,
going to fly
you mean
out.
you're not pushing it to that? See if I can land with 2% left on the battery.
No,
You ain't doing that?
I don't play that
do
game, man.
When you pay 12 grand for a drone, you don't do that.
Don't do
Okay.
No,
Don't do it. Don't
I
do
don't
it.
play that game at all.
Okay.
Like I said, and not that it's happened before because I've had a drone go down because I ran into a TFR that was not there on the maps, but it was still present after a wildfire up here
Right.
about a year and a half ago. And I'm like flying along, the drone's doing its thing. All of a sudden, I'm looking at the screen and said, the drone's not moving. Oh, it's moving, but it's going down. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
what's
hit the
going
wall.
on?
It hit the TFR wall.
It hit the
Yep.
TFR wall after I've been flying. It's on the second. Matter of fact, I was flying the second battery, and it hit the TFR wall, and that drone was going down. And I had to go out there, walk this site, go out there and locate it. Look at my strobe on, made it easier to find it, and walk back to my takeoff point. Like I said, that walk of shame. And then when I go in and put the next battery in, Cynthia, guess what it did?
What?
Update.
Go.
Update. I put the
Crypto
third
Man
battery
just said.
in to show the TFR.
Crypto Man just said he need that you have the two batteries in case you have a failure. Yes, it does help you there. If you have a battery failure on one of the batteries, hopefully you'll have enough left to get home with that second battery.
Yeah.
But you do not fly on a single battery. First off, you don't take off with a single battery.
No.
Now, Cynthia, do you do any charging in the field?
I have, yeah. It just depends on how long if it's a huge job.
You can get away with it then. Yeah.
Yeah. I always have four sets with me. But if it's
8 batteries, folks. Do the math.
Yeah, I always take batteries. But I've done it not a lot, but if you've had a huge job, then I've had to charge it. Well, we have to take a generator with us.
Yeah.
So
folks that are complaining about how much their Mavic 3 cost, just think of how much Cynthia's batteries cost. Okay.
Now when it comes
and by the way, she sends a set up to that one job, and she has a other set back home. So there's redundancy there as well.
When it comes to your M30s, Cynthia, for yours and your husband, you guys have a kind of like a rapid charger system, because I know you guys use a lot about it, like a rapid charger.
And she's using her computer.
No,
that doesn't exist.
You don't use third-party chargers. Do not use third-party chargers with these drones.
What we have now with the M30T,
Well, it doesn't have to be a third-party charger. They do make rapid chargers for DJI.
Adrian, I'm about to tell you what the M30 has in their battery charger case. They have 3 settings on it now. They do have a rapid charge setting that will take your battery from 0 to 90%.
Correct.
So you
Right.
get back in there fast. Like that. Then they have the standard slower charging, which takes a lot longer, because the rapid charging, you're back up within an hour. And then they have a storage battery setting, where it will only charge the battery to about 50% if you plan on storing it for any length of time.
Storing or transporting.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the M30T has now in its battery unit that comes with it when you buy that. So that's not what all the guns. The M300 may not have that in its battery unit that comes with it.
Yeah. It's also recommended that you don't rapid charge those batteries all the time.
Right.
Okay. Because you're not, Maddie, you would know this. You got to care for those batteries a certain way. I mean, just like with your FPV batteries, you'll burn your house down if you're rapid charging those constantly. Okay. But Cynthia, think about you know, Cynthia had to go through the expense of shipping batteries up there. Okay.
No, so let me tell you what actually
You
happened.
drove up the first time?
No, when I got the job, we did the research and um, it said it kind of left it up to the airline
To the airline?
whether or not you could, and so they allowed me to take them up there. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
nice.
you got lucky on that one.
And yes. And then
Yeah.
coming back, they were like, yeah, no.
Yeah, somebody that let you go the first time didn't realize when he
They were looking
what the individual amperage on those batteries are. Right.
it's really high.
Right.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, like you can bring a laptop on, but a laptop usually hits the wall as far as, you know, how much wattage that battery has. You know, anything over that, you're not allowed. You look at current FAA, their guidelines are pretty,
yeah,
do not let it, but it's up to the individual airline, of course.
it is, and it depends, and really it comes down to who was inspecting that day, you know, because they did open them up, they looked at them and everything, and they're like, okay, and they let me through. And so then coming back from San Jose, that's when they were saying no, it's not okay. So we were able to leave them there.
Yeah, you got lucky on that one. But when Cynthia travels with that drone, that's traveling. I mean, you talk about a Pelican case. That case is huge because she also has to take the RTK, you know, the ground station with you, right?
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I always have to go get the you know, the carrier to put everything on there and reel it.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And then I have to check it in with full service, you know, so that they can, you know,
Go through it, swipe it, smell it, taste it, all that good stuff, right? Yeah.
Because everything's oversized. And
So
then
you got TSA pre-check now? You flying that often? Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Good.
every 2 weeks. So yes.
Yeah, good. Smart.
I have a question for you. Have you used any other third-party mapping software like Drone Deploy or Pix4D?
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth, Drew. I was just about to ask that.
I've used both, but not with the 300. I use them.
No,
with,
I know the 300
Oh, yes.
not compatible with them.
the Phantom.
Now, the reason why I asked that question, now let me ask you this now. Do you
Computer
feel
show
those
front
programs are easier to use than the Pilot app? Because I know this current version now, I don't know, the Pilot app never really thrilled me. Because I guess I first started off using Drone Deploy and Pix4D. I used the old Ground Station Pro, which is very similar to those other two. But this Pilot app is just almost like, it's like 4 generations behind these guys.
Yeah.
It's almost everything is manually have to be done. And I'm looking at this new one now with this new drone where I don't know how somebody forgot to put in the Imperial settings because everything's in metrics and stuff. So I'm sitting here converting everything on my phone.
Yeah.
And stuff like, okay, how fast I want to fly. And the speed is not even in kilometers, it's in meters per second. So I'm thinking, okay, how fast is 10 meters per second? I'm on my phone saying 10 meters per second equals to how many miles per hour? I'm like, come on.
Right.
Us Americans are so damn ignorant.
I know. I said, where was the programmer on this job?
Yeah.
Hey guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up on the stream. I really appreciate that.
No.
Yeah.
We do have Mr. Gary Brown Arrows in the house, Charles Goloski, Bill, Coast to Coast Drones. Thank you for popping in, Black and White. We got quite a few people. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate that.
Hey Benjamin, tell your dad you need to make sure you learn the metric system, okay?
Yeah, because I mean that like I said, that's what I told people in my video about the learning curve with the remote, that new Pro Plus remote, and it's not so much the information is a lot of information, but it's a lot of buttons. And Tom just mentioned earlier about how he pushed his hand on one of the remotes, and I said this new Remote Plus is so big, but it has so many buttons on it. When you pick it up, you're touching something already. And I said, if you're not careful, you'll click one of these buttons and you like look at the screen like, okay, I was here, now I'm over there. And you're like, what? How did I get back to where I was at?
Now,
well, there's a trade-off, right?
I do have one question for you, Dre. On that remote, doesn't the remote tells you what every button does?
Well, like I say, the ones next to the screen on both sides, they have on each side, yes. But see, you have 2 buttons.
There's buttons underneath also.
On the back, the C1 and C2 buttons on the back, and there's another set of buttons right below the photo shooting shutter and also the video shutter. There's buttons there that have
So
no corresponding information.
if you've ever used, okay, so if you say to yourself, okay, here's an entry level SLR camera,
Mm-hmm.
and here's a top end pro SLR camera. Besides the weight of them, the big difference is you're going to see a ton of buttons on the pro camera.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because on the pro side, you don't have time to menu dive, to go on the back screen and go down this menu and this nested menu. As a pro, you want to access those controls at the touch of a button. You heard that phrase before, right? The touch of a button. And that's where that comes from. Pro cameras are going to be chock full of buttons. The same thing on the pro side of the drone industry. That controller is massive, by the way. You better have a neck strap for that. That's why Dre's arms he's so buff over there. Okay, you got to watch out for that, Cynthia. Okay, be careful.
Well, that's why I said in my review of the M30T that the controller is the biggest learning curve. I said the drone flies like having just a little bit bigger Mavic 2 Pro. Flies sweetly, very smooth, not jerky, anything else. Doesn't do anything unexpected. Very easy control. But the controller itself, that remote, has, like I say, has so many features out there on those buttons. You got to be careful, and it's going to take time to do everything second nature. Like I say, those of us who came up through the ranks, flying Phantoms to the Mavics and everything else, everything was second nature. You didn't even have to look down. You just knew what you would need to touch, what you need to move. You knew where the scroll wheels are at and how to adjust the gimbal just right. And in other words, it made you a better flyer because you were very comfortable with the controls and you knew where they were at. Now I got this used controller, and now I have to think, where's the button at for the zoom, for the FPV camera, for the thermal camera? I want to go split screen, full screen. And I say, now I got to take my eye off what I want to re-look at and look down here where these buttons, and like I tell Adrian is asking, what's the corresponding information that might be in the corner of the edge of the screen and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and the worst time to learn those controls is when you're out in the field shooting a job.
Yes. Yes. And that's why I say I'm lucky I live in an area where I have a lot of open terrain, and that's why I plan on going flying in the next week or so. Is up near Glen Helen Parkway off the 15 freeway, nothing wide open dry wash up there, and I got all the space in the world to fly and really get used to that controller.
Well, I took my wife out to the dry lake bed. That was the first time she drove my truck. Okay, there wasn't anything to hit for miles. Okay, so she enjoyed the heck out of it, by the way. But yeah, you know what? Like anything else, if you're serious about it, you'll do the deep dive. Okay. And you have to. I mean, the more, and it's so much easier today, too. I mean, look, Dre just put up an M30T review. Okay. Now, if you're thinking about buying that drone, you got to look at that review. If you're thinking about dropping that kind of money down, you got to look at those reviews. It's so much easier today to do that research, which is really good. But, you talk about the software, and that's I agree with you. That's why you got things like Drone Sense and Drone Deploy and all these other, and Litchi has been a mainstay from early on. Pix 4D is great. If you're in the public safety sector and you don't want to have to pay that huge fee for a lot of features you're not going to use in Pix 4D, Pix came out with Pix React.
Yeah, React.
So it's a little boiled down, only what you need to get the job done, kind of thing. So you got to do your research. I mean, that was a big thing on our side when we were starting up the program, was to do the research, because the worst thing you can do is spend a boatload of money and then come up short.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't want to promise your client something you can't deliver, because then they're no longer a client.
Right. And like I say, and even from a municipal standpoint, Tom, like I said, you spend this money. It might have been grant money or whatever else, special tax money. You go out and spend this money, and then the item sits up on the shelf because it
Metro
doesn't do what you want to do.
Metro-Dade PD bought 2 military drones back in the day and crashed them both in 2 weeks. And when they came back to their city council for money, the city council went, "Yeah, I don't think so."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Adrian,
Yes, sir.
I got to get off the stream, brother.
Hey, man.
Oh, you got a contract, right?
Thank you for
You
popping
got a
in, bro.
contract,
I really
Paul.
appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show. Cynthia, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Wow, when you get a YouTube, find me and send me. I'll subscribe to it.
Oh, thank you. Will do.
Yeah, you want to say bye to everybody?
Bye, everybody.
See you
Bye,
later.
Bye,
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Paul, I'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Okay, well, since everybody got quiet, I got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cynthia, you have any jobs tomorrow? Or you're just kind of taking it easy for the rest of the weekend?
No, we have 2 jobs tomorrow, 1 or 2, depending on waiting on one to come through.
Okay.
And then we will be traveling up to a city called Brookdale next week for probably 2 or 3 days. We have a job up there as well.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Try to stay busy.
Okay, so our paths may cross one of these days.
Absolutely. We are up in your area sometimes too with jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least I know where my money's going.
Yeah.
If I'm not getting it, at least I know who is getting it. But no worries. I only work weekends.
The
Okay.
two jobs you have to do tomorrow, they're like close to you. You have to travel a little distance.
They're in West Covina, LA area. I think
Okay.
both of them are in LA area.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you personally like flying? And I know you out of San Diego, which is a large urban area and suburban area, but how do you like going into LA area flying? Because I know I avoid it if possible. There's just so much going on with the airspace and also the people that you may have to encounter.
Oh, the people. You kind of, what I've noticed, you kind of have some people that are just curious and they want to know what you're doing, and
Right.
and then you have the ones I just told I was talking to my son, and I said I think I'm probably on several people's Facebook pages because people come out and they want to take photos like you're doing something wrong. But I mean, I'm in bright yellow, got my hat, I'm not hiding.
Good. Couple of traffic cones, you're all set there, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
You're all official.
It just depends. Yeah, absolutely. We always make sure that we're dressed, professionally, and make sure that when we're talking to people, we are professional. But some people are very curious. Other people, I think a lot of people have heard a lot of negative things about drones and how they're being used.
Right.
Yeah, it just kind of depends. And one time we had a job where probably 2 or 3 different families came out of their homes and they're taking pictures and everything. And we found out that a week earlier, there was a robbery in the area.
Oh.
And so everybody's just kind of really paranoid, and police had told them to keep an eye out for anything unusual. And you got us driving in.
And they thought you were casing the joints with the drone, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind, and it's also how you deal with those situations too, right? We can all be drone evangelists, okay? People ask questions. Yeah, they're legitimate questions. A lot of times I'll say, "Hey, I got no problem. I'll let you know everything you're asking about, but I have to land first." Okay.
Right.
But what we used to do on the job was, large multi-alarm incidents or multiple casualty incidents. To keep a good sense of humor, we'd be out there, and people would come up to us. Citizens would come up to us. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I would always say, we're shooting a movie. If you're interested in being an extra, You see that police officer down the block, go up to him and give him your info. Okay. And eventually a sergeant would come over and go, "What are you doing to my guys? You got to stop this." Okay. But yeah, you'll get your people that I don't want you flying over my house. Okay, no problem. I'll make sure I maintain an adequate berth around you. But here's what I'm doing, just in case you need to know. Okay.
Sure.
Now, Cynthia, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Leonard JSK Enterprise asked, did you and your husband started as a hobby, or did you guys jumped into the commercial part right away? As far as flying drones.
Right. I started off kind of as a hobby, but I got into it pretty quickly because my husband was already into it. But from what he's saying, his name's Manny. He has a name. He said that when he first found out about drones, he knew that there was going to be there would be money in it. That it was really going to be a wave of the future. And so when he found out about it, he got into it really quickly, and probably went into commercial pretty quickly.
Good. He started when?
He started. He said, I want to say about 10 years ago. I'd have to ask him, but yeah.
Early adopter.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, when you're talking about the Flight Hub 2.0, Dre, what is that?
The 2.0 is the new pilot app that comes with an MT-30, and I think the 300 is going to be adopting over to it here shortly. Matter of fact, it is out for the M300, I should say, already, and it's in beta format right now. So that's why I was very interested in this drone, because I feel with DJI updating the Flight Hub app, it can surpass Drone Deploy, Pix4D, and some of the other ones out there, because now you have a internal system. I mean, before with the old app, you could set your flight while you did it. In other words, you can set a waypoint as you were flying it manually, then come back and refly it again with the waypoints you set when you flew it manually. Now you can do it at a desktop on a tablet that's connected to the system, because it's a web-based system. So you can use it on any device that you can log into, because basically it's not something that you need to download. You actually go to the web page and you log in once you have an account, and then you can go ahead and set your flights and go from there. And that's why I was asking some folks about that, about the difference, because I didn't see in the settings where you can change from metric to imperial. So that's what I'm saying, because it is a web-based app. They're going to keep it as structured the way they want to, and that's why I said, okay, because I'm looking for the changeover for how high I'm flying. I can figure it out, but just one extra step, because I'm American, I'm lazy, okay, so I'm used to having things my way. So as I'm saying that, if anybody knows, hey, I'm all ears. I'm not trying to think I'm smarter than the average bear, but I'll take a hint. You throw it out there to me, so I'm thinking, I can keep everything internal. Like you said, this is a used remote. I don't feel I want to put this remote down, pick up a tablet so I can fly a grid mission. I should be able to do everything in-house with the power this remote has in it, with the power of this new Flight Hub program has with it, and what it's telling me is capable of doing. So like I said, like Tom said, I got to take the deep dive, get into the nuts and bolts of it, figure out all the ins and outs, so I can quickly, if I need to do it, like Cynthia said, sometimes you got to do things on the fly in the field and be able to adapt to the situation and go from there. But like I was telling everybody, this is what she's talking about, how you do part of your pre-flight, as she says, as you go in advance and you research these locations. A lot of this is done before she gets on a plane or gets in her car and go anywhere. Yeah. And that's why I tell everybody about doing your pre-flight is all about your preparation before you even show up on the site. Then once you show up on the site, you do a on-site walk around or drive around, whatever you need to do to verify the hazards and everything else that you may encounter. And that's why I tell folks, all these things are done before that drone probably comes out of the case and gets set up. Mm-hmm. And then I say, then if you need to make adjustments to something that you already pre-set up in a pre-flight plan, then you can say, okay, I can't fly at 120 feet because I got a building over here, I got tall trees over there, so let's adjust it to 130 feet. This will give us a safe zone. We don't want to fly too close to anything we don't have to needlessly. So you give yourself a buffer. And that's what I say, all these things are calculated in, looked at, thought upon every time. I know a lot of folks would get on here and say, oh, I was driving down the road, saw something interesting, came out, popped out the drone and threw it up in the air like I just don't care and I'm flying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a commercial flyer, our mode of thinking is different, totally different.
Now, when it comes to you, Cynthia, how do you feel about the remote ID that's coming out? I mean, I'm sure you heard about that.
About in terms of what?
Remote ID?
I mean, what do you mean? What do I think?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
A drone already has remote ID.
Say that again?
On that commercial side, the M300T and the M300 already are equipped with RID modules in them.
Correct. Now, also is the Mavic 3 has that as well internally. It already has it already equipped. But I'm saying when it comes to the law, how do you feel about it when it does come into effect?
I don't really. It doesn't really bother me. Honestly haven't put too much thought into that.
Remember, she's wearing a big yellow vest with a hard hat and traffic cones, so she's already know where that big drone is coming from.
Yeah. So it doesn't. I haven't put too much thought. I know about it, but I haven't put too much thought into it.
Okay.
Hey Dre, the one thing I have to say about DJI Flight Hub, the new 2.0 is. The good thing about it is you're in their ecosystem, so things are more likely to work seamlessly. Right? Is what you're. You know, it's a lot to deal with. There's so much capability in Flight Hub, and man, there's a lot to research there. But the other good thing about it is if you're working as a team, your other team members can stay invested in the flight as you're flying it as well.
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, especially for you, Cynthia, something to look into is if you're working with an architect and say that architect is on site with you, they could actually visualize, you know, what you're doing by leveraging Flight Hub. So that extends your capability.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can say go ahead, Cynthia.
Oh, no. I was saying sometimes he is on site.
On site? Yeah. And as I say, by being a web-based program, he doesn't have to be there. He can still be in his office, wherever that is. Log in, and you guys will be on the same mission simultaneously.
Your
no
husband
matter where he's
be monitoring it also from San Diego.
Right. Yeah. So that's what one of the selling points it was to me to go this direction with this drone.
How much?
Like like your husband, I'm seeing the potential earning. Plus the seamless transition of information, seamless transition of just like Tom said, inclusive ecosystem, being in house. Because I tell folks, I mean, not that I was trying to jump ship from DJI, but I was betting on the Evolve 2 to be the stopgap for my Phantoms to go in between going to the enterprise level at DJI. Right. And the Evolve X Dynamics has just been dragging their feet a little too much for me. They're still correcting some of the bugs. I mean, the drone came out 2 years behind schedule, and they're still trying to work out the little nicks and knacks of it. And I said, when this drone came on the scene at the end of last year, early this year, when they started rumoring it's coming out, and then they started showing little clips of this and that, I said, well, you know what? This might be the direction I need to go instead of waiting on the Evolve 2. I mean, yes, I would like to have a drone with an interchangeable lens and different payloads, but you got to go with what's actually out there, because I can't wait on one manufacturer to get their act together.
Unless, of course, they're DJI. but Cynthia, the good thing is, if you don't know, Flight Hub 2.0 is actually in beta. It's a public beta, so you can download it for free and use it through, I think it is the end of October.
Okay.
And then, you'll all get sticker shock.
All right.
Well, like I said, it's not even a download, Tom. It just gives you a link to the web.
It's web-based. Right.
Yeah,
You have to
it's all
basically
web-based.
you
Yeah.
create an account. But
Yeah.
you know, DJI, man, are they smart cookies, man. They're gonna get you into this product and you're gonna figure out that you can't live without it.
Mhm.
And then they're gonna tell you how much it cost you for that subscription. Okay. So be
Yeah.
careful. Be
And by
careful.
that time, you're already invested. And
You're already
Yeah,
invested.
well,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think I get an extra 3 months because I bought the M30T because I thought
Yeah.
I get an extra 3 months for that.
That's good.
But like you say, it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be right up there with Drone Deploy Pix 4D for a subscription. And it's going to be probably over $1,000. And they're probably going to have different levels for single operator to multiple operators to an enterprise account.
operation, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
look, it all comes down. And I think as a single user, you're going to be able to connect others, but they won't be named users, so to speak. They'll be ad
Right.
hoc, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, you know, here's the difference between the commercial and the recreational world. In the recreational world, you're reaching into your own pocket, okay, and never getting that investment back. On the commercial side, an investment is for the business,
Mhm.
and you want to recoup those dollars because now, like Dre, $1,000 a year subscription to a recreational flyer, you go, hey, that's the cost of a drone. To
Right.
you go, well, I got to add a few more bucks to my price quotes.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I still have to put that on my tax filing as a Section 179 expense. Okay.
Right.
So, but you know, that's where there's a big difference. And these companies know that. Okay. That's why you pay what you pay for this side of the
Right.
fence. Okay. Because they know it's an investment, but definitely something to try out, you know, especially when your husband is down in San Diego and you're up in San Jose.
Mhm.
You know, it's a good way to keep that connection.
Definitely, because there are some times when I have a question about something I'm shooting, or you know, an error on the drone or something, and that would definitely.
Yeah, you can do a live, right? That's the good thing about it is you're live.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Cynthia, am I going to see you in Temecula next month?
On the
13th?
13th, I believe.
Yeah.
As of now, yes.
Okay.
Unless a job comes, then yes.
Like I say, money before pleasure.
And I have one on the 14th already.
Okay.
So, yeah. But
Yeah,
so far,
I get you.
there.
Okay. Well, make sure you bring the hubby along. I'm sure he'll be just as interesting as you are.
He's probably older. You can go on much longer about drones.
Yeah, like I say, he's probably got a full fountain of information.
Absolutely, that's a very good way of saying it.
Yeah. So look forward to meeting you hopefully in Temecula on the 13th of next month.
Sure. Yes.
All right.
And I didn't get an invite. What happened there?
It's a couple of folks. We don't know how this is going to work out. We're trying to do a little meetup with a few people.
Okay.
And stuff down to
look. Remember when Bob Dempsey comes back to Vegas,
Yeah.
us old farts are looking to finally. We're going to put together a Vegas meetup at some point. Okay,
Well,
Adrian, stop saving your miles, will you? Okay, but
Well,
you know,
that's why
I might make the South Florida meetup next year. Okay, if Ray Kelly sends me any more notices about that, okay, but yeah, we got to put something together for Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I said. We do a West Coast thing. It's got to be in Vegas. Everybody wants to go.
Yeah,
to Vegas,
baby.
so
But not
far from us to
right now. It's
No,
7:49 p.m. Yeah, it's a little too hot right now. Okay.
It's 84 here. It's 84 here in San Bernardino right now.
Well, it's 99, but it's only 12% humidity right now. So
Yeah,
see, Cynthia lives in the best place of all. I mean, San Diego.
I know.
Do you get any better weather than that? I spent some Navy days there, Cynthia, but
Yeah.
yeah, I used to surf off of Ocean Beach all the time.
Okay.
In fact, I got in trouble. I fell asleep on the beach after taking off my wetsuit, and I got I'm close to transparent when it comes to skin tone. Okay, so I wound up getting written up for destruction of government property, and got put on restriction for 15 days. Meanwhile, I only had to be on the base every 30th day for duty. And of course, that was the morning I figured I'd get some surfing in early. And there's no, if you guys have never been to San Diego, boy, is that a gorgeous place.
Yeah.
Yeah, San Diego has, I think, one of the best weather in the United States. Period.
But we pay for it.
Most parts of the world. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
expensive. Oh yeah. You pay for it. That's
for sure. But you're talking about a 365 days. They probably have optimal weather between the mid 80s, at about 340 days of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
They probably get 20 days out of a whole year. They might get a cloudy day or a rainy day or actual cold day.
They're complaining when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unlike here in Vegas, when it rains, people look up. I think they're going to drown. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Yeah. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah. Good deal. So, Adrian, you got anything else we need to cover tonight?
It's almost about 2 hours. That's pretty much it. I mean, what a great show. We had a great crowd. Thank you, Cynthia, for coming in. Tom.
Great.
Maddie, Paul, Wedge and Big, everybody in the chat. Recoveryone Drone, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Great show. We'd love to have you again, Cynthia, if you're available. Next time, if you could also bring your hubby to join right next to you so we can actually talk about more drone, because I'm sure he probably got a lot more stories than
he does.
Yourself probably knows a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not that you don't know what you're talking about, but
no.
I'm sure he probably knows a lot more.
Yes.
No, I like her story a lot. I mean, here's a woman who, like I say, just jumped in knee deep, got her Part 107, and here she is. She's got a M300 sitting behind her. That's commitment. That's what I'm saying. That's commitment.
Nadra, I think before she jumped in, she was making sure that the camera get a glimpse of that.
You got to frame it properly
to make sure that we'll see it.
Actually, I started
that was like perfectly done right there. Perfectly placed.
Properly placed. Good.
Yeah, good. I'm just saying that's commitment on her part, that she was serious about it, because that is a major investment. And then when she says they got 2 of them, dude.
Well, look, the only barrier here is lack of desire. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
Lack of initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Cynthia, you've broken those barriers right down. I mean, you're doing it the way it should be done. You went into it, did all the work you had to beforehand, and the business with your husband, it's going to thrive, because I mean, you guys are basically right, Dre. I mean, we're still in our infancy as far as this kind of technology goes, and the public is only now beginning to embrace it.
Yeah. So
the more ubiquitous it becomes, the more opportunity is that you guys can cash in on it, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And remember, once you guys make all your money and you go to retire, you got to move the heck out of California. You can't afford to stay there. Okay. I mean, look at me. I had to move out of New York.
Yeah.
Okay. They give me an allowance every month now. Okay. That's a great thing about a defined benefits package. But, I get a pension every month, which is great. But, I couldn't move back to New York. I don't think I could afford it. So you got to find one of those pension-friendly states, okay? They don't tax your pension, don't tax your Social Security.
Yeah.
And if we talk about tax, there's no state worse than California when it comes to tax, right?
Yes.
And on the business side, no less, too. So
yes.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, Cynthia.
It's been a pleasure for myself as well. I was kind of nervous to come on. Like I said, I'm not really a talker, but I actually learned quite a bit, and actually learned realized how much I do know. Don't give myself much credit. It's kind of, when you do something every single day, it's just, you do it every single day. You don't realize how much you know. So this was great. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to come on and talk drones.
Most definitely. And again, as I stated, when we were actually talking back and forth, you're more than welcome to come in anytime. If I try to do this every Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time, which I think is 6 to you.
Yes.
Dre comes on as my co-host. We every time we try to talk about a little, drones, of course, but then we also do a little bit of BS on the side where we kind of pick on each other just to have a little bit of laugh, laugh and giggles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
If you have any other topics that you would like to talk about and you want to come in, just shoot me a message and we'll make it happen, and we take it from there. Tom don't usually jump in because I used to send him an invite just about every time, but then he never appeared. But now that I got him on Facebook, I gotta bother him a little bit and ask him, hey, would you like to come in? Like
I moved from New York to Las Vegas, and I did it by traveling cross country in an RV. But Mr. Sensitive here thought there was no love there. Okay.
But yeah, it was great having you, Cynthia. Of course, again, a pleasure. If you kind of get the hobby, hopefully next time, we could all chat.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
really appreciate that to get to know him a little bit more. And again, whenever you get your channel on YouTube up and running, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to all, subscribe and then support
Okay.
each other. That's what we do here. We like to
Sounds
kind of support everybody.
Okay,
Community.
that's great. Thank you so much. I will.
Great. Anything else before we?
No, we're good, man.
Tom, anything else?
That's it, man. I talk too much to begin with. You don't want me to go on any longer.
Cynthia, is there anything else you would like to say before we wrap it up?
I'm good. Thank you so much again.
Always a pleasure.
All
Well,
right.
good night, everybody. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next week.
Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Good night.